Hey there, this is Schwermetallisch, and I'm sitting here with Sean Adams of the band project Phenomenon ORCumentary. Hey Sean.
What's up? I didn't even warm up today.
If I would try that, it would be like the whole apparatus for speaking would probably just jump out of my mouth with lots of blood and gore.
Yeah, that's what happened the first time I tried to scream. Is it was just like complete regurgitation of my entire speaking system. And you got to wait a few years for it to grow back, and then you can try it again. But for real, I remember when I first started doing ORCumentary, I wasn't even, as weird as it was, I wasn't even into screaming metal when I first started ORCumentary. It was just something for fun because I was a Lord of the Rings nerd, and I thought it'd be funny to make songs in an orc voice, no technique or anything. And the first few shows I did, my voice would be so sore at the end, I could barely talk, at the end of like 30 minutes. Obviously there's like, a technique to it, but anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself.
No, that's totally fine. That's what we are here for in our respective virtual man caves.
Yep. Or over here.
When did you start the whole ORCumentary thingy?
I was in high school, so that was like in the summer between junior and senior year of high school, so I was 16 at the time.
14 years ago.
15, just about. Yeah, it's 14, 15. It's been a while. So I started it initially as, well, it wasn't even a formal thing at first. So I had been taking piano lessons for like 10 years before that point. And I wanted to, I continued through the end of high school, but I was getting kind of bored, and, I just wanted to, start doing things. When I started ORCumentary, I didn't know anything about writing music. Like anything at all. Like I didn't have any influences. I didn't have any like, oh, I love this keyboardist. I love this songwriter. I want to be like them. It was really just, I was a Lord of the Rings nerd. I made an orc voice. I thought it was funny. And I thought, what if I made songs like this? So I fucked around with a couple ideas, and then I was like, oh, I'm kind of okay at this, and it's kind of fun. So I formalized it a bit by giving it a name. But yeah, I mean that's how it started. I didn't expect it to actually be a thing.
Are you by any chance a fan of 3 Inches of Blood?
I used to be a big fan. I haven't listened to them in a long time, but I used to be a big fan. They were actually one of the first metal bands I got into. I remember because I got into metal around the same time, like a little before I started really getting, doing ORCumentary stuff. But, the first few bands I got into, like Dragon Force, Elven King, Firewind, like a lot of like the power metal stuff. And I remember that summer, like summer of 2007, was the Ozfest, where all the tickets were free and you could like sign up and everything. And 3 Inches of Blood was on that year. And like that was the only band that, like, I discovered them from that, but like I don't remember what the lineup was, but I wasn't really into any of the other bands, but that's how I discovered them. And like, yeah, the Destroy the Orcs. I've always toyed with this idea of doing a cover of Destroy the Orcs.
You can't.
It happen. Yeah, it'd be kind of weird, but I guess it's kind of like, I don't know, Cannibal Corpse doing songs about killing people. Maybe.
No, I thought your stage presence may get offended by a song called Destroy the Orcs.
That's true. I'd have to reword it, maybe Destroy the Elves or something. That actually, that's a good idea.
Destroy the Dwarfs.
Oh, I do have an album called Destroy the Dwarves. I don't know if you know that.
Not yet.
Let me get it. I'll get it.
I have a blank page.
Where is it? Here it is. So I do have an album actually called Destroy the Dwarves. So this was the previous album I put out before my current album, Fully Orchestrated. Yeah, I do have a song called Destroy the Dwarves already, but I don't know. That's a good idea. I'll write it down. I'll have to write it down.
Great minds think alike.
Yeah, exactly.
Destroy the hobbits, destroy the elves. Yeah, I think elves would be the only thing that not think.
Thing.
Stupid German.
The one syllable I think would work the best that way.
Yeah.
But I do have a song called "Fuck the Elves." Like it's just about like just insulting elves and all that. But yeah, I mean, if I had have a song called "Fuck the Elves," have a song "Destroy the Elves," I'll make it work. But let's not belabor this point. I haven't listened to 3 Inches of Blood in a long time, but I used to be a really big fan. They were one of the first concerts I ever went to. That was a lot of fun. But that was so they used to have the Screamer as well, but then he left right after Fire Up the Blades was released in 2007.
I think he died.
No, he didn't die. I think his technique was terrible, so I think he screwed his voice up.
But he had to get surgery, and after that it was like, you can not do that anymore, and so they had to carry on with another one. Who died? Someone died in any band.
People, yeah, it happens sometimes. People die.
Yes.
Because I remember when I saw 3 Inches of Blood, it was right after that album came out. But it was like he wasn't in the band. Like I think he had just left. So they have the guy who sounds like Judas Priest, and like you have like Cam, and then you had the Screamer. Like the Screamer was gone, so like they kind of mixed it up. Like sometimes Cam would do the screaming, sometimes the guitarist would do it, but that was one of my first metal concerts. That was really cool.
Yeah, I got to see them. I think 2000. One moment. I got it here on the wall. It was European Tour 2013, I think. That was 3 years before they called it quits and broke my fucking heart. When I saw them, they had a screamer. I think it was a guitarist that did the screaming, and Cam of course that inhaled, and the whole everything just sounded like Painkiller every minute.
It's too bad he's not doing music anymore. He's got a really good voice, but I think, didn't you interview them recently?
Yes.
Yeah, I read that interview because I was interested in what happened to them, but that was a good interview.
Yeah, to my shame, it was just a written interview via email. It's cool, It's really cool to interview someone you really like that, but to do a Skype interview with someone you adore is quite more the thrill. I did get to do that with Ashes of Ares recently, and Matthew Barlow is my absolute favorite metal vocalist ever.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I was pretty scared a bit.
Yeah.
But he was really nice. He's such a nice guy, and that was very cool. And I got Tomen Stauch from Vanguardian. The drummer.
Oh, the drummer, right?
Yeah, he left. I think 10 years ago or something like that, but that was really, really thrilling for me to do stuff like that. So I would have loved to do that via Skype, but I think he's not really into the whole thing anymore. He's posting much stuff on Instagram and stuff, but I don't. It's
Some
sad.
people. Yeah, I mean, their experiences, or people who are in like touring bands and everything, is such a different experience from, yours and my experience. I've played shows, but I mean, I haven't spent like half the year flying around the world playing shows. And I think from your interview, it seemed like they're just like a lot of the, the behind the scenes crap kind of just wore them down. But that's just like with a lot of bands, you know. It's got to find a way to make it work, and you know, it's either going to work or it's not, and in some cases it just doesn't.
Yeah, but you never got that from seeing them live. You would never have guessed that they're fed up with the whole stuff or something like that. And I think even the very last record they put out was really cool. I really enjoyed that. But yeah, if I would release 3 records, I would just be forever grateful for people having my stuff at home.
Yeah, that in itself is its own reward. But anyway, you know, we have talked a lot about 3 Inches of Blood, so
Talk
about no.
You gotta talk about Orcs.
Yep.
So you can play the piano.
Yeah. Yeah, so I took piano lessons for 11 years, from when I was 7 until I was 18. I don't really do so much of the, like, you know, playing the sheet music and all that, which I should, because I feel like I've lost a fair amount of that side of it. But what I really like is songwriting. So that's what I've done pretty much, you know, almost exclusively for the past, I don't know, 14 years or so.
So what is your approach to songwriting?
I mean, it's not too different, not even just like with ORCumentary, but with really anything. I mean, sometimes there's like a lyrical idea or like a song title idea. Like, especially with ORCumentary, half the fun is coming up with a song title, because it's just like the most ridiculous things. But, you know, in terms of like the music, a lot of it is just, you know, I may come up with a melody and then build all the other instruments around it, you know, maybe come up with like a, you know, 15-20 second clip of, you know, this melody with all the supporting instruments. And if it sounds like it's something that works, then I build off of that. If not, then I kind of file it away for later, and, you know, maybe I'll use it in a different song or whatever. But I mean, inspiration really comes from so many different things. Like, you know, maybe I'm hearing a song and it's like, oh, I like that rhythm. You know, what if I were to use that rhythm, but maybe make it a little slower and like this and the other thing. And, you know, it's just, I guess, like when it comes to songwriting, you just really want to always take inspiration from things. Like, you know, if you listen to a wide range of stuff, you know, like you never know what will inspire you and how it will inspire you, you know? So I guess, I don't know if that really answered your question, but I guess that's kind of my approach.
That wasn't the last question, so we will groove that out.
Yeah.
Is there a certain mood you have to be in to write songs, or do you even have some kind of ritual to get in the mood to do songwriting?
Not really. So it's more like a lot of times song ideas come to me at weird times, and I think a lot of musicians and just creative people in general, they just talk about how they're inspired at random times. And, you know, it may be a case where it's like, oh, you know, I have this melody in my head, and so I try to write it down, like, you know, maybe if I'm at work or something. And then, you know, I mean, I try to work on music in some capacity most days. So it's more like, you know, I usually have something to work on, or I may have like an idea of why I'm sitting down to work on music. So it's not like, okay, I'm going to just sit down here and see what happens. It's usually like, oh, you know, I have, you know, this melody I scribbled on a napkin a couple days ago, and let's see if I can do anything with it, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah, I just imagined it's like with writing stories. I started to write a story a few years ago, and it was just like I sat down and did it. I just wrote, and I'm not in the mindset to write music. So I always wonder how do people approach writing stuff. It's like if I have a melody in my head, it's a melody I heard somewhere from reviewing stuff or something. It's almost never happens that there's a melody in my head that I invented.
Yeah, it's I mean, like, I know that there's some songs that I've written where I can tell the influence of certain songs that I really like. Like, you know, for example, like, I'm not going to give a specific example, but, you know, like, for, like, my other band, Virus of Ideals, like, you know, there's one, like, you know, one song where I was like, oh, you know, the chorus was really inspired by this song, and, like, the bridge was really inspired by this song. And it's more like, if you point it out, people will notice, but it's kind of like, I mean, that part of my brain is like always working, you know. If, like, I feel like it's kind of like, you know, with all the music I listen to, like, stuff that's spit out is, it's like a you know, like everything that I listen to is kind of processed together, kind of mixed with the, you know, the creative part of my brain, and I guess just stuff kind of comes to me in a way, you know. Like, I might just be, you know, bored at work or something, and I'll just have a melody in my head, and I'll just, you know, it's not, you know, it might sound kind of similar to something, like, oh, it kind of sort of sounds like this song, but it's in a different key, and a bunch of the notes are a bit different. You know what I mean? Like, you can tell the inspiration from certain artists or certain songs, but I mean, you know, there's just so many different kinds of music. It's hard to be like completely original. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no one will reinvent the wheel as of 2021. It's impossible. But there's still some artists where you think, okay, I can feel the vibe of some influences, but it's not in the vein that you think, oh, you stole that, motherfucker. It's more like, oh, you've been influenced. That's fine.
Yeah, it's usually like, you know, if you point it out, people are like, oh, I guess I can see where that comes into effect. Or, you know, like, some bands will be like, oh, you know, one of my biggest influences is this band, and it sounds nothing like that band. So it's kind of the same thing. Like, I mean, I've always part of it is part of it probably also is that I have ADHD, so I think that you know, it can be hard for me to focus on things. So, you know, I've always been a creative kid. I actually used to be into writing as well. You know, I was big into fantasy books, obviously, and you know, and there was a point when I was writing a book, and there just came a point when, you know, I was getting more into music, and it was like, I can't really do both. You know, I just don't have like the creative energy to do both. So I just picked music, and that was the right choice because I'm a much better musician than writer. But a lot of the storytelling stuff is, you know, I still really love that. Like, all the ORCumentary music follows an original story. And even with Virus of Ideals, there's a lot of storytelling, I guess, in that sense as well. So it's still there. Like, it's just a little different in a way.
Cloaked.
Yeah, you could say that.
It's there, but it's not obvious. So this orc voice.
Yep.
Did you ever try to just classically do vocals?
Like, to sing?
Yeah.
I never took lessons. You know, it's one of those things, like, I like the idea of learning how to sing. Like if I really came down to it, I could sort of carry a tune. I would like to learn how to actually sing one day, but it's just like, with everything else going on, I just don't really have the capacity to learn something else, you know? It's, you know, I got to learn something that I'm actually going to use, and I don't know if I'm going to use a singing voice at this time with you know what I mean? Like, with ORCumentary, there's not really any singing vocals. With Virus of Ideals, I don't really do singing vocals. So, I don't know. Yeah, I guess because I took piano lessons, and then I just fell into doing ORCumentary and, you know, writing my own music. And it's kind of like, I just wanted to work with what I had, you know? So yeah, it's a long answer to your question.
Yeah,
But-
no, I understand what you mean. The core point is that if you know you can do something well, and you know you can shine doing that, why should you do something else?
Yeah, I mean, you should, it's definitely good to grow as a musician and try to learn some new things. But I think that, like right now, actually, I just started learning bass guitar over the past year, and it's definitely good to learn new things and keep yourself interested as a musician. Like the whole, obviously, the pandemic was a humongous bummer for everybody, and I definitely was lucky. I didn't get sick. Nobody I knew died. But I really threw myself into this album, fully orchestrated. Actually, let me.
Red artwork incoming.
I was gonna see if I had a CD copy handy. Yeah, hold on a second.
Dum 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 dum.
Okay, so I got the album. Yeah,
He's back.
So the album fully orchestrated. That's a big part of what got me through the pandemic, because I really threw myself into this album. Like, pretty much the entire time from, I'd say, like, pretty much a calendar year, 12 months, was creating the album and promoting it. So the album has 8 songs, and there's a new song. There's a bunch of older songs of mine that I made into like symphonic versions, took out all the heavy instruments and made them symphonic. And then also a cover song of Where There's a Whip, There's a Way. Like, I don't know if you saw the 80s Lord of the Rings cartoon, but there was a song that the Orcs sang, and I thought it'd be funny to do a cover of that.
That was by Ralph Bakshi.
No, that was the song wasn't in that, but that, yeah. So it was Return of the King. So there was a weird. Okay, we're gonna take a little side trip. So you're right that it was weird how it happened. So Rankin Bass did the animated Hobbit. That happened first, I believe, and then Ralph Bakshi did Lord of the Rings, which was weird because it merged the first 2 books into one film. But then the Return of the King, the end of the trilogy, that was done by Rankin Bass again. So it's weird. It's kind of like, so it's weird. It's like if you have a trilogy and the first 2 movies are done by DreamWorks, and then Disney does the last movie. That's kind of how it was.
I didn't even know that there is a finish to that trilogy in animated form. In Germany, I saw that Lord of the Rings movie, and it's fucking strange because it's basically motion capturing.
Yeah, it's very weird. Like, I've seen parts of it. I haven't seen the whole thing. Like, the animation is very strange, and yeah, there is a lot of motion capture. I mean, I'm trying to remember, was it the 70s? Because I think that was in the 70s, because the Return of the King, 80.
Yeah,
but anyway,
I don't really know, but it's like, okay, guys, it's not motion capturing because obviously that was not a technique in this day and age, but it was like captured, filmed like a normal movie, but they kind of did draw over that.
So it's kind of like maybe like a primitive version of Who Framed Roger Rabbit in terms of the technique. You know what I mean?
But it was like in the movie Roger Rabbit, you have Bob Hoskins, acting in front of a green ball, and there was a cartoon rabbit that replaced this green screen stuff. But with the Lord of the Rings movie, it was like they did a whole movie with actors, but kind of did an effect on that, on the whole filmed stuff. It looks really, really weird, and I think if I would watch that again today, I would totally dig it.
It was weird, but basically yeah, the cover song I did was from The Return of the King. I couldn't watch the movie. It's very weird because, like, because you've seen the Peter Jackson one so many times, and then you go back and see the cartoons. It's just so strange, But there is a song in there that the Orcs sing. It's kind of a funny little song, but I did that on the album. I'm trying to remember what your original question was. Oh, something about the pandemic. So I do remember how I got to this point. So getting through the pandemic, just really throwing myself into this album. It was like 6 or 7 months, like writing and recording the album itself, and then 3 months of pretty much nonstop promotion, like PR. Like try to think of if you had to promote every single day the same thing, and you had to try to find different ways to promote it and all that. So I don't know if you have done any PR, or if anyone who's watching this has done any PR, but it's really, it's like whenever you see a blog article or an interview like this, or a music video or something, any artist, they space out 3 months or so to promote an upcoming album. But usually they have a PR guy to do all of that. I did work with a PR company, but I did a lot of it myself as well. So getting back to the point where we were at, okay, yeah, I'm remembering now where we started with this. 'Cause you were asking about doing music, like making music with what you have, and I was talking about how learning new things can be a good thing. And so basically at the end of this whole album thing, I was really burnt out, because it was you're just grinding at this album for almost an entire year. And I tried to get through the burnout, and it just got worse. It's just you just have to give yourself a break. I think that something about this culture and this generation is very much like working yourself to the point of exhaustion is some kind of badge of honor. It's weird, but anyway, so learning bass kind of helped me love music again, trying to figure out why, what I love about music, and, just kind of having fun with it, because when you're promoting an album, if you're doing it yourself, you get lost in the other side of music, in the business side, in the social media, personality sort of thing. And you know what I mean? It's just
yeah, totally. You are a musician, but you had to become an entrepreneur in order to do the promo stuff, the business stuff, and grind yourself almost to death. And normally, if you're a musician, it's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to just do your stuff, work your magic, and create art, and not get bothered with the business side of stuff, because that actually is not fun. And it kills the fun.
Yeah, unfortunately, unless you're really big, a lot of it, you in this day and age, you kind of have to learn how to do everything yourself. And I don't mind it. I like doing interviews. I like doing social media. I like talking about my music. There's a reason why I put so much effort into this album, is because this is something I've been wanting to do for such a long time. I came up with the title like 12 years ago, Fully Orchestrated. I've had that pun kicking around in my head for 12 years, and I've finally been able to do something with it. So yeah, I like to do it, but it's just about finding the balance, I know that some people really don't like doing social media. They really don't like doing interviews. They really just want to be left alone and make the music. And I totally understand that. I definitely see why, people would prefer to just do that. I like them both, but obviously I would prefer to spend more time on music than everything else.
That's totally understandable, and that's, I think, the reason why so many people want to become an artist and do stuff like that, and make music, because they don't really think about the business part of the whole. Yeah, I wanted to say something in German, and that, of course, cannot fly in an English interview. This whole construct.
I told you I was learning German, right?
Yeah,
I
it's
I'm not very good. I've been doing Duolingo for like a year, a little over a year. But like I said, I'm not very good at it, but I have been learning.
many people say learning German is really really hard.
It's not that I don't think it's that hard. I think that there are some like I imagine like Russian, you have to learn a whole new alphabet. Like at least in my experience with German, I mean, I've only used Duolingo, so I haven't been able to really throw myself into it. But there's a couple different characters, I used to take, like in high school, I took French for a couple years. So I mean, that was a long time ago, but yeah, I don't think that as far as languages go, the German is as hard as other ones. Like most of the letters are the same. You have like umlauts and what's the thing that looks like a B that sounds like the S? I don't know what that's called. Like when you say like a Ich heiße Orc Adams.
Ah,
Like
yeah, it's some people say scharfes S,
yeah.
like sharp S, and some people say SZ, like yeah, S and Z. It's like, yeah, it looks like a B, but with a like I don't know how it's called in English, but you always if you you compare penguins to a server, they always wear these jackets that are so long, just on the butt.
Yeah.
It's in German it's named Frack.
Oh, I got you.
It's a jacket that ends at the waist, but on the butt it's like a little bit longer.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
And I don't know the word in English because no one ever uses this word in English. No one. Yeah, that's the scharfes S.
I
But
got you.
the do you eat meat?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So the single most important word if you ever visit Germany is Currywurst.
Oh, hold up. I'm sorry. I tried to switch earplugs here, and it cut out. Speaker off. How do I turn this back on? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know what is going on. So I was trying to switch my earplug, but now I think I might have fucked up the Bluetooth a little bit. Here, try talking again.
Hi.
All right. Bluetooth fucked up, so I'm just gonna have to hear it directly from my phone.
So, never forget the single most important word in German for any stranger visiting Germany ordering food is Currywurst.
Currywurst?
Currywurst. It's a I don't know if what it's called like in America, but we have bratwurst around here. It's,
Yeah.
You know bratwurst?
Yeah, I know what it is.
Yeah, and bratwurst with curry sauce, and usually you order it with fries and mayo, and that's about one of the best parts of being German.
Yeah, it does sound really good.
It's yeah. Some people say that the German language always sounds so rough and so hard, and I don't know. You have to tell me if this sounds hard to you because I'm ordering food.
Yeah.
And it's like, ich hätte gerne eine Currywurst mit Pommes, Mayo. Is that sounding? I don't think that mayo is sounding very rough.
I mean, I can see, I mean, because, I always think of, like, French as being, like, this very delicate, like, oh, this beautiful language, and, like, German has this reputation of being very, like coarse and, kind of rough sounding, and, I can see that. I mean, that's probably why it's used a lot in metal, because it's very, like, if you're singing in French, if you're trying to do, like, screaming vocals in French, it doesn't really, you know what I mean? It may not. I mean, sometimes it works. Like, I think Alceste sings in French, but I think that just maybe just how German is, it just kind of lends itself better to metal vocals. I don't know.
Russian, it works pretty good too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I always think that that Russian. Do you like Star Trek?
I don't think I've heard of them.
Star Trek, the band, the TV show.
Star Trek. Oh yeah, I've watched it. I don't know if I'm like a hardcore fan, but I've seen it.
I always thought that
like you were talking about like Russian metal, and then you said like the way you said Star Trek made me think you were talking about like a Russian band or something. Like I don't know, but anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, that's a pronunciation problem with German people.
No.
So in Star Trek, the Klingons, for me, always resembled Russians and Orcs.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, they're
Because
definitely.
it was about honor and your father, and it was all about patriarchy and warriors and blades.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
So you said you read a lot of fantasy stuff. Aside from Lord of the Rings, what is your favorite?
So I'd say my favorite series is probably Shannara, or I don't know how exactly it's pronounced, but it's written by Terry Brooks. It's a really long-running series where like there's a bunch of different trilogies, and each trilogy follows different characters. Like the overall story is that after like some kind of apocalyptic event, Earth is remade in the sense where there is, where there's magic and there's science, and there's always the conflict is always kind of there. Like you have a trilogy that starts at the very beginning when like right after this event happens, and then there's a timeline. There's even a trilogy like right at the end, like kind of like at the end of the world. And that's a series I've been reading ever since I was a teenager. But that's probably my favorite series, I'd say.
I know the 2 seasons of the TV show on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
like at first I had a problem with the main actor being such a pretty boy.
Yeah.
It was like, oh no, oh. And yeah, of course, you may have thought, fuck the elves.
Yeah, I did see the show.
It was okay-ish.
Yeah, I tried to cut it a lot of slack because I know that, like, when people do stuff and it's like, oh, it's not the same as the book, I try to judge things on their merit on their own. And the thing that made it hard was that the first season was based on my favorite book in the series, which is possibly one of my favorite books of all time. And it's not that it was different. I think it had its moments. Like parts of it were good, but towards the end, it just got really. I just thought it was really bad. And then by like the last episode, I was just like, let's just get this over with, just so I could say I finished the series. And it's hard to make a good fantasy TV show. There's a reason that like Game of Thrones is like the only good fantasy TV show, or like one that's. I know that people bitch about the ending, but the only one that is universally considered good. You know what I mean? It's hard to make a good fantasy TV show, I feel like.
I did not read the books, but I think Dust and Bone was very good.
Game of Thrones?
No, it's a new Netflix TV show. You should check it out. Dust and Bone.
What TV show?
It's called Dust and Bone. Bone and Shadow and Bone. I think. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
I've been meaning to check that out, but I've heard good things about that show as well.
It was like I don't know the book, but it felt like really good casting, and the set pieces looked great, the effects were great, and the overall the pacing. It was all like, yeah, let's watch another episode.
Yeah, that's what's good about that. They just they just keep they make shows you just want to keep watching. And I mean that's a great thing for not just fantasy, but I mean like TV in general. Like even 20 years ago or so, there was just a remarkable. I mean there was a remarkable difference in quality between
films and TV shows. You know, generally TV shows were much more low budget, you know, kind of, you know what I mean? But now, like, TV shows are like a 10-hour movie, you know? Like,
Yeah.
the way people
Just the Disney Plus stuff alone is so high budget.
yeah, well, they got the money for it.
Oh yes, yeah, they certainly do. But still, the costumes in the TV shows are a bit less quality-wise than in the movies.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah, because I think, I mean, it probably depends, but yeah, I mean, if if you're making a 10-hour movie, that's, you know, you have a lot more things to film, a lot more days filming, presumably, versus, you know, you're trying to film a 2-hour film. You know, I think your money might go farther that way. I'm not sure. I know we're kind of getting a little off topic here, but I don't about movies and shit.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, I will probably send you a link or two to about the books I highly recommend you should read if you like the Shannara Chronicles.
Oh, I don't. Yeah, I actually, honestly, I haven't done much reading over the past few years. As I've really thrown myself into my music, it's more like my non-work energy. It's like really pretty much all in music, and to unwind these days, I'm mostly just playing video games. It's different, you know. I would like to get back into reading, so I wouldn't mind checking out your recommendations, though.
So, aside from making music, what do you do for a living?
Just office drone, desk job stuff. Nothing. You know, I know that, like, you know, when you're on, like, you know, you see people on game shows or like they call in and they're like, oh, you know, so what's your name and what do you do? You know, who's your daddy? What does he do? But, you know, I always have this thought, like, I prefer to just say that I'm a musician, because I think for a lot of people, their day jobs don't really define who they are. It's more like, you know, who are you and what do you do that pays your bills and keeps you from living on the street, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just office drone stuff, you know, just all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's like today as a musician, in 99% of every case, you just have to do a shitty job on the side in order to finance doing music, in order to be able to eat something, because people are not buying music like in the 80s, and not everyone can become a big star and get rich today. It's just, I know it's the American dream, and I know that people all over the world still dream that dream and think they might get rich, but it's not happening. That's just the harsh reality is that is. Yeah, you can define yourself over being an artist or being a dude that does interviews and review stuff, but you really just need to work. It's shitty, but it's the truth.
Yeah, I mean, I know that a lot of smaller time musicians have been able to make livings off of it. Like, you have to be creative, you know. It is a lot harder to make a living as a musician. There are a lot of different ways that you can do it. Like, I know that a lot of musicians have, you know, Patreon, or they have Twitch channels, or, you know, they do crowdfunding for albums, or, you know, you do studio work or things like that. So it doesn't seem like it's as straightforward as it used to be. You know, you get a record contract, you tour around the world, and you live happily ever after, you know. But you know, I've been trying to do some different things like that with ORCumentary. You know, I've done so I don't know how much you know about American football, but, you know, like the Super Bowl, you know. Yeah. So basically, you know, the Super Bowl is like, you know, when the two best teams play against each other, you know, and the halftime show is, you know, they have like Beyonce or someone famous like performing. And so one thing I started doing a few years ago with ORCumentary is do a live streamed halftime show of my own.
That is a brilliant idea.
and it's gotten it actually got a fair amount of attention, or the first one did. It got some coverage on like Loudwire and Metal Injection and Metal Sucks, and like basement dwelling metalhead puts on a better show than Maroon 5 for the halftime show, and it's just about and yeah, I mean, getting back to your point, it's definitely not as easy to make a living as a musician. I'm nowhere near that, but I'm doing what I can. I do studio work for other bands, which definitely helps finance a lot of the stuff that I'm doing. The album would have been definitely harder to put out if I wasn't doing studio work for other musicians, like keys on their songs and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, there is a lot of potential with the new technologies, but yeah, like you said, people aren't really buying music like they used to. Music in general. Part of that, which I don't think a lot of people think about, is that there's so many more distractions now. There's so many different forms of entertainment people can choose from. A lot of people don't even like music because their way of winding down is binge watching a TV show. You couldn't do that back then. You couldn't do that in the 80s or the 90s, So
you had to wait a week to see the next episode of whatever the fuck you're watching.
Yeah, exactly. And like even back like the 80s and 90s, there were way less bands. So it's kind of like, I want to listen to something heavy. What do I have to choose from? I've got like 5 bands to choose from. So that's, you know what I mean? So it's like, now with metal is just so oversaturated right now. There are just so many different bands. None of them sound like Orcumentary, but
that is true. Coming back to Orcumentary, when I first listened to your music, it was like, hey, that sounds really great, and then I heard your vocals, and it was like, whoa, no! That was, listen closely, people, that was before I started to get into more extreme metal, because I was at a point where I was oversaturated with melodic stuff. It was like I realized there's probably I would never have thought that, but there's probably 50 people on Earth that sound like Dio or like Bruce Dickinson. They are not as great or charismatic or creative in most cases, but yeah, if you're just digging classical music like that and classical vocals, it becomes a bit stale after a while. And so I tried to listen to death metal and wrote a review here and there, and so now I'm ready. Now I'm ready to delve into more extreme stuff, and just I forgot the word again. It's wertschätzen in English. Treasure. It's like, yeah, I can treasure is the wrong word too. I will need to cut that out of a video later on because it's ridiculous.
Okay.
Everything got its worth, and if you learn to appreciate, that was the word.
Yeah.
I learned to appreciate different forms of music over the last, I don't know, 6 months, I think, and reviewed quite a bit of death metal. So now I can appreciate your music even more.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I remember when I first got into metal, it was kind of the same. Like, I wasn't into the screaming vocals at all, and it took me a while to get acclimated to it, but kind of like what you were saying, some people, I guess, are happy with just listening to the same kinds of music, and that's okay. But once you get to a certain point, usually you just have this urge to hear something completely different, and that's when you go deep diving into something else, like it even took me, like I started with like the power metal stuff, and then I got into stuff that was slightly heavier, and I was never really into like full on death metal, but eventually got into that, and acquired that taste, you could say. And as a musician, I mean, just knowing all these different kinds of metal, and not even just metal, but different kinds of music, that I was talking about this a bit before, how it helps you as a musician, because you never know how you're going to be inspired by something or what will inspire you. You could be in a power metal band and you hear some death metal song and something about it sticks out to you, and you incorporate an element of that into a new song.
Yeah, and it's also, the metal scene is all about knowledge and being a big nerd and knowing your way around the scene. And the more you know, the more your cred, your street cred, your metal street cred grows from knowing more stuff. I just on my Instagram, for example, I realized that the more heavy and the more extreme the reviews are from the bands, the more people engage with it, because the metal scene is all about extremes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, just generally online, people react to strong opinions a lot more than more middle of the road stuff. I mean, ORCumentary's gotten plenty of strong reactions over the years. I've gotten my fair share of negativity, and that's fine. I'm not going to be one of those kind of people that's like, oh, anyone who doesn't like my music is stupid. It's like, it's called a musical taste for a reason. You don't really choose what kind of food you like. You like what kind of food you like, and it's the same with music. You like it or you don't. A lot of times when you have trolls or whatever that are not like trolls like in the ORCumentary songs, but like online trolls, it's usually not like a personal thing. A lot of times it's a combination of people with nothing better to do who see something and it sets something off in them, and they just say the first thing that comes into their head. So I mean, as I've done ORCumentary more, I think like I've gotten a better reaction from people, not just because I'm becoming a better musician and I'm making better music, but I mean, part of that is that. And it's also, like you think about, just for example, like bands like Slipknot. Like now Slipknot is like this legendary band. But I remember when I was in high school and all that, you had like the emo kids or the Hot Topic kids or whatever who loved Slipknot, but everybody else hated Slipknot. Everyone else hated these like metalcore bands and the new metal bands, but you just have to keep going, like people are going to want to bring you down, and you just have to have enough belief in yourself and in the music. And sometimes the music just isn't good, but that's just like, you have to have enough belief in your ability to just power through that. This is one thing that I've heard people say, is to not take criticism from someone you would not take advice from. So if you think about, I don't know, like let's just say somebody says, Dennis, your channel sucks. For no reason, just some random person. Who is this random person? Why do you care what they think? But if it was like me, like I'm saying, hey, Dennis, I like what you're doing with your channel. I think there are some things that maybe you could, the criticism is not presented in a constructive way. Like if someone is just trying to tear you down, it's not always easy to shake it off, because generally, people, I like to think that people try to be nice to each other, most of the time. And it's harder online. So that, that can really bring you down. Obviously, somebody being a jerk to you or whatever, but you just have to have the faith in your ability. Just believe in the power of the Orcs, and you'll be okay.
Yeah, I always think that there's people doing the same or doing similar stuff than me that are quite God. this is not a good day for a German dude speaking English. Successful. There's successful people who do stuff that you do less good. And that's always my motivation to carry on doing my stuff. When I see other channels and think, okay, they got monetized, they got their 4,000 views, they got their 1,000 followers, and they're shitty. They're shitty as fuck. They don't put in the work. There are people that put videos online, they didn't edit 1 second. Just, okay, we're done now, Sean, bye-bye. And just put it online.
Yeah. Oh no, I totally know what you mean, and it's like that in music as well. You know, it's hard not to get frustrated when you come across someone. Like, I'm not trying to say that I am such a great musician or that my music is so wonderful or something, but you know how much work you put into your channel. You know, I know how much work I put into my music, and when I was talking about how I was like severely burned out after this album, part of that was like it didn't feel like it was a big success. And part of it, like I've worked with a bunch of different music consultants, partially to learn how to do a lot of the things myself, but one that I talked to a couple months ago was about this, how I was just so burnt out and I didn't know what to do. And part of it is your mindset. Like a big thing is the mindset, you know, like, and part of it is reframing what you think success is. So, you know, me thinking, oh, I didn't sell as many CDs as I thought I would, but thinking about it, like I had this option where when you buy the CD, you know, buy the CD, viewers, you know, but like, you know, you buy the CD. If you want to give me an extra $10, I'll put your name in the credits. So, you know, that was a way to help fund the album, and almost everyone who pre-ordered the album did that. So, I mean, that's a big success, you know, because it's not just casual people. I mean, even selling CDs these days, you know, like vinyl is really big now. People don't buy CDs as much, but, you know, reframing what you think is success, you know, like I didn't sell as many CDs as I wanted, but nearly everyone who bought a CD gave me extra money so that their name could be in the CD booklet. You know what I mean? And like, you know, with your channel, you know, a lot of it also is like when people figure you out. You know, like for example, you may think your channel is similar to a lot of other ones, but maybe someone who doesn't really know much about this comes across your channel first, and you know, they're like, I really like this content, and then maybe they come across a similar channel to yours that's not really putting in the work, and they're like, oh, that's all right, but I mean, you know, I like this better. So I totally get the frustration, and you know, the thing is that the audience is out there. You know, I know that the audience is there for orc music, you know, like, and I've been trying to really hone in on that. And, you know, I think that a big part of that is focusing on what makes you unique and doubling down on that. Because if you think about it, you think of, you know, pop music. You know, pop music is made for mass consumption. Generally, people are not passionate about pop music. Sometimes they are. You know, like Taylor Swift fans are ridiculous.
Lady Gaga.
Yes, yeah. But I'm saying, like, generally, you know, people who listen to pop music, it's music for people who don't like music in many sense. And you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
like, you know, you can be passionate about pop music, but generally it is not made for mass consumption. Or it is made for mass consumption. But you think about, like, orc music, you know, orc music is not going to have the same appeal as Lady Gaga, but, you know, there are some people who are just going to go crazy for that, and that is what you want to focus on. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I totally get your frustrations.
No,
and
no,
all.
I'm not really frustrated. It's just like there's days, you know that you just think, why am I doing this? And
Yeah.
then you think, fuck it, I'm doing this, and then you carry on. I'm not frustrated with that channels. It's just that sometimes you think, why is he successful Not why am I not. I know I'm not as successful as other people because I don't have 500 videos online. That's just I started last July. That's nothing. I know that. And compared to other channels that are doing this for 4 years, I'm very successful. There's a dude, a German dude, doing stuff like me. He's around for 5-6 years, and he's got like 18 followers because he never edited the video. He just recorded it and put it online, and that it was not good quality. He didn't put on work at all, and he didn't buy fancy stuff like ring lights or a good camera or something like that.
Yeah.
And that are all things you need to do if you want to be successful as a YouTuber. You have to constantly put money and effort and time into that. And I'm doing as much as I can, and I will be able to do more soon. And in the back of my head, I know the success will come someday.
Yeah.
But the way ain't always move.
Yeah.
Or schmooze.
Schmooze. Yeah, I totally know what you mean. It's just really growing as a creator, like when you're talking about like the quality, like not that the content isn't good, but the quality, like, if you're making videos without proper lighting, with bad mics, whatever, people aren't going to pay as much attention to that. And, I totally know that with ORCumentary. Like we were talking about this a bit before. My earlier music was pretty raw, production quality wise. People who are used to listening to bands on Nuclear Blast Records and whatnot, you listen to something like ORCumentary and it's much more raw, and that was part of why I took a break for a while. In like 2016, I stopped doing Orc stuff for like a year. I didn't play a show for almost 2 years, and part of that I was learning more about recording at home. I bought a computer that I only use for recording purposes, and it's part of that is just growing as a creator. Like as you do it more and as you get better at it, you invest more in it, because it's something like, with like music, I wouldn't invest in a computer to record if I had just started out with music and I didn't know what the hell I was doing, So, yeah, I mean, and it's hard not to think of it as a competition, but it really isn't, you're not competing against someone, it's, it's not like a sporting match, success comes at different times for everyone, and it doesn't always come in the way you expect either. So that's, so I think it's easy, especially now with the online culture and everything, to just really focus, to focus more on the negative, little negatives can be so high, and like the positives can be like, you know what I mean? It's our perception of it, like the negatives may not be so bad and the positives are better than we think they are.
Yeah, but that is the main problem that predates internet for me. It's like we all know that you enter a relationship for example, and you if you're still in love with that person, you emphasize on the good things and try to forget about the bad things, and it's all heartbreaky stuff, and that's the same over the course of an entire life. If something negative happens, and it can be a tiny bit, it just brings you down. No matter how many little or big positive things happened that day. For example, we're both alive. That's pretty great.
Yeah.
We didn't get sick over the course of almost 2 years.
Knock on wood.
Yeah.
We're not out of it yet. Knock on wood. But
yeah,
exactly.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, you always hear about when like people like saying, journaling or, writing down 3 things you're grateful for each day or something. And, it is easy to just, as creative people, it can be hard to lose focus on the positives and just focus a lot more on the negatives. I mean, really with any kind of endeavor, or really any point in life. But, I think you were talking about this a little bit when you were asking yourself, why am I doing this? When I look at this channel that seems to be so much worse than mine and they're doing so much better than me, or not even for that reason, but, like if you're feeling kind of down and out, you have thoughts like that. But a part of it is just, rediscovering why you're doing what you're doing,
Yeah, I always work towards goals. I did start the whole thing with writing reviews and putting them on Instagram, and then thinking maybe I will do a YouTube channel, and then thinking maybe I will do a podcast in the future. And I always set myself goals, and sometimes I reach that goals, and sometimes I'm not reaching the goals, but I guess that's life.
Yeah, it's definitely too easy to load yourself up with things, I'm not sure what it's called, the kind of paralysis where you're so overwhelmed by things you want to do that you don't do anything.
Yeah, I get that.
I mean, I was like that for a while with the album. I mean, there's so much to do with promoting an album, and just trying to think of every kind of content I could come up with to help promote this thing. And it was just kind of the same thing. It was like, you just kind of hit a point where it's like, I can only do so much, but
yeah,
anyway.
It's really important for you. You mentioned the burnout, to just sometimes take a step back and say, okay, today I will do nothing at all, as a decision, not as a result of overthinking stuff on 1,000 things you can do and then doing nothing at all. Because but just taking a step back and thinking, okay, I'm already stressed out now, and I did not do anything at all today. So I will keep that up. I will do nothing this day. I will just I don't know, take a walk, or cook something, do something in the apartment, or I don't know, in the garden if you have one. It's so important for your mental, for your brain, and for the energy you have to sometimes just decide to do nothing.
Oh, absolutely. And like when you were talking about like going for a walk, or something away from screens is really big. Like when I had this consulting call I was telling you about, which helped me reframe what I considered success. Part of it was, she was telling me, is that just like getting out into nature and being away from your phone for a while, like, I mean, she suggested like a camping weekend. I don't really camp, but I went to a park that was a couple towns over, turned my phone off, and just like existed. I was by this pond with running water, just kind of closed my eyes for a while, just listen to that, for like an hour. My phone was off. I was just kind of existing. And, even that was such a huge thing, especially with, like the way that everything, the way that we are right now, we're always just kind of bombarded with things to consume, it's like we're scrolling on Facebook nonstop, or there's like, movies or music or whatever. And, part of, like you just get so built up, like I know a lot of times, when I come home from work, sometimes I just need to be, by myself for like 10 minutes and just close my eyes and just kind of, you know what I mean? It's just so easy to get oversaturated. And, just taking that time on top of giving yourself the allowance to not do anything for a day, or for a week, if you're really burned out, it's just like,
be productive.
Yeah. It's like, you don't have to, like obviously being productive is great, but if you're going to run yourself into the ground with it. You know what I mean? Like you know, with this album, you know, I was productive on this album like almost every day for an entire year. So it's like I'll give myself the leeway to not be productive for a while to try to regain what I, you know, what like try to get over this burnout, you know. So it's just
and you ruin the fun for yourself. It's like eating steak every day.
exactly, yeah. And it's I mean it's a good analogy for PR, you know, like this album, you know, I love how it came out. Like I'd never written symphonic music before. So like to do like this was a big challenge, and it was also something that I was really proud of how it came out, you know, but you know, like to promote it every day for like 3 months was kind of like the eating steak every day thing, you know. It's like it's obviously something I'm really passionate about, that I want to get people, you know, excited about, but exactly like you said, you know, it can be like eating steak every day, I suppose.
I just noticed something. You had a moment where your eyes were a bit twitching. And,
were they?
I had a moment like that. I think 2 times already. People, we are not having epileptic attacks or something like that. It's the ring lights, I think.
Yeah, because it's
the constant ring light.
Yeah, I have it at a lower. I have it at a lower setting because if I have it too bright, it washes me out. Like here, let me change some of this set. So like this blue, like it's blue right now. If I would not be able to be on this call for anywhere near as long with this blue light. But I have more of it's like a warmer color, which makes me look more human or more orcish, and it's also not quite as bright. But yeah, like having the light, because we've been talking for a little while, so I think it's been you know, it's you know what I mean. So
it's getting to you physically.
My eye might have twitched a bit. What's that icon on your screen? The little horns? Is that your mouse?
What?
Do you see it?
No.
It's I can't point out your screen, but it looks like there's like your mouse. Can you move your mouse? There's like a little like horns.
Ah, it's here.
Oh, I didn't even see that this whole time. I wondered what that was.
I've
been on some metal websites where your cursor looks like that rather than a normal looking mouse. But anyway.
Yeah. You said move your mouth, and I thought you meant the cookie hole in my face.
Oh, move your mouth. No, your mouse. Like, you know, like, yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, it's Sunday.
Yeah, that is true.
I have to say, I'm out of questions for now, but that may be according to this being, I think, one of the longest interviews I ever did.
Yeah, we did talk about a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but it was great to talk to you, and I would say that it's a good environment to get in the mood for questioning you. I don't know if that sentence did make sense in your language, but it's sometimes you have a partner in an interview where you get stuck in the middle of speaking and don't know what to ask anymore.
Oh yeah, I can understand that. Yeah,
and sometimes it's like you've been in the in the interview for 20 minutes, and you just realize, okay, we finished because I don't know what to ask anymore, and I didn't get the feeling with you, so that's I think that makes for a great interview.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. I haven't done one of these interviews in a while, so it's good to talk to people again. Or
Yeah.
like talking about music again.
And we, the both of us, had this coming up for quite a while, but
Yeah,
sometimes get so I forget things and people,
yeah, I
and
understand.
and sometimes I really get buried in work, like sometimes you get these EPK emails where someone says, "Hey, this is my band, please review us," and sometimes you get 90 of that a day.
Oh, I imagine. I mean, I don't do any of that kind of stuff, but I imagine that's, people are always like, yeah, when you have an album cycle, you have a PR guy who's sending out your EPK or a press release to hundreds of blogs a day. And,
Yeah.
each of those blogs is receiving 100 things a day. And, you're thinking, it's like, how are you supposed to choose what to go through,
It's pretty easy for me. It's like
You can tell right away what a band sounds like and whether it's something you want to spend your time on or not, I imagine.
yes. I only review stuff I already know that it's in my comfort zone musically.
Yeah.
Sometimes when an editor sends stuff to me, some like my boss from Crossfire Metal, hello Steve. He sends me stuff like, yeah, I know you're not a fan of this, but it's black metal and you will have to do it. And that way I did get into the extreme stuff because Steve said, yeah, someone has to do it and it's your turn, so do it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steve. So that was that, and yeah, I never turned down stuff from editors which I work with. That is yeah, should be natural to not say no. I'm not doing this, but there's just a lot of PR people that send me stuff, and if it's black metal, I almost always say no black metal.
Yeah, I mean there's nothing wrong with that. I mean it's like you don't really, I imagine you don't really want to review something you're going to hate. I mean, I know that hate reviews are fun to read and they're probably fun to write, but you don't really want to get the reputation of doing that, Like
Yeah.
and plus you want to review what you know. I imagine. So it's not like, if you've never heard black metal before and someone gives you that to review, you're going to give it a 1 star and say it sounds like, you're flushing a dying person down a toilet, or something,
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's no, I definitely see that side of it as well.
Yeah, the thing with reviewing stuff you maybe do not like, it's a waste of my time because I'm not having fun doing this, and I'm
Yeah.
not helping the band in any way and just putting them on blast on my Facebook page, on my Instagram and stuff like that. And they will hate me afterwards. So there's nothing to win in this situation for none of us.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think part of it is also, I guess, just figuring out how to be constructive with your criticism, and sometimes stuff is just not good. Like
Yes.
I've gotten my fair amount of negativity for Worklife over the years. I've gotten a lot of positivity, but I mean, I've gotten reviews like you're talking about where it's just someone wants to blast you, and that's okay. It's whatever. If that's what that person wants to write, whatever. It kind of sucks to read it. Like you said, it's not really helping me. I mean, I'm not gonna. I mean, it kind of did, because like with my last album, Destroy the Dwarves, that got a lot of mixed reviews because like some of the people who got it really liked it, and then the people who bashed it talked about the production quality, how it was a lot more raw, and this, that, the other thing. And as I was getting all that feedback, I realized, I can't keep making music like this. Something has to change. So that's why I took the break for a while, trying to figure out how to move forward. You know what I mean? And like sometimes the criticism is good, and probably framing it in that way is the most beneficial. And it's an interesting thing that you say, like your review is not helping the band, or like, you know, because I guess that's what you want to do, you know, like you're listening to different kinds of music and you're writing about it because you like to listen to music and you like to write. But the other aspect of that is that you're helping the band promote their album.
I want to. I don't know how much success lies in that. I don't know any numbers if I helped people, but I'd like to think that it helps in some way.
Well, yeah, that's you know, I think any review, it's publicity, you know, even if it's something that you know, I mean, you know, certain reviewers, you know, they want to do like this is the worst thing I've ever heard, whatever review, 0 out of 10. You know, that's not going to help anybody. That's going to help the journalist, because people like to read reviews like that. You know, it's like, oh, you know, it's so fun to watch people shred things, but it's not helping the artist. It's not like, you know, like this album has a lot of potential, but you know, this, you know what I mean? It's like how you frame it, I guess. And I did get some feedback like on that from Orcumentary, but I did get a lot of it was just kind of dismissive, you know. And, you know, like I said, it was like the new album, I got mostly great feedback, which is good. Well, it was good to great feedback. Like it with the good feedback or the okay feedback was, this is well made, but I personally am not a fan, or it's kind of weird, you know. And then, but it's not like, so like that's how I know. I mean, like I knew that I improved like production quality, all that kind of stuff is much better on this album, is because I didn't get any flat out like awful reviews. It was, like I said, it was people would say this is good, but not really for me. It's kind of, you know, weird.
Yeah.
So that, I guess that kind of, that's also kind of a gauge for the artist. Like, you know, everyone's going to get the odd, like, this album sucks review, like 1 out of 100. But if everyone's kind of telling you the same thing, then you should listen a little bit to what they're saying. You know, it doesn't exactly go against the don't take criticism from people you wouldn't take advice from, but it's almost like if everyone is saying the same thing, ask yourself why and take a look at what you're doing. You know, like if everyone was like, you know, Dennis, your videos are so grainy. If everyone says that, then you're thinking, you know, maybe I should get a new camera then. That's just an example. I mean, that's an example. I mean, your video quality is perfectly fine. I have no problem with that. But I'm saying that
it could be better.
It looks pretty good to me. Yeah, I mean, I suppose it could be, but I mean, it looks perfectly fine to me. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying about the whole review thing.
Yeah, it was like I read about Angel Witch and how they didn't make the cut of the new wave of British heavy metal because one really famous reviewer of a magazine put them on blast, and it really kind of stopped them right in the tracks. And I read that and I thought, well, what if that would be me? What if I would have the power to make or break an artist? I would always try to make them, always.
Yeah, that's a really good, well, it's a really good way to be. And, you know, I mean, you might, you know, you were talking about how you feel like there are a lot of other channels that do similar to what you're doing. And, you know, a lot of bands make similar music. It's just how it's told, how it's performed, you know? Like, I mean, I like to think that Orcumentary is pretty unique, so I don't know if that's, you know,
I think so too. And I listened to, I think in the last 2 years, I listened to, I don't know, 1,200 bands. So yeah, you got my word. That's pretty unique.
Yeah, thank you. But what I mean is that, like, you know, if it's like the way that it's done, you know, like like the way that I write music, not just with ORCumentary, but you know, the way that I write music is different than how someone else writes music. And it's not like saying that I'm this super unique person. It's just that every person has a slightly different perspective on how to do things. And so, you know, the way that you make your content is going to be slightly different than how someone else makes their content. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely. I'm a lazy dude, but I'm not as lazy as the laziest dude. So I'm in the middle.
Yeah.
And of course, I try to edit stuff. So I'm not that great in that department, but that will get better over time too.
Yeah.
So when it comes to ORCumentary, I think your approach to music and your approach to what you do is quite different and quite unique. In that you, nobody ever said I'm doing orc vocals. I never heard that. And you got the stage name, and you got that's really cool artwork. Who did that artwork, by the way?
So for the new album, that was done by Chatter Skull Art. So it's an artist based out of, I want to say, Louisiana. But I had worked with somebody different for all my previous stuff, and that was, I mean, the old stuff was a bit more cartoony, I guess. I mean, it's all kind of cartoony, but you know, when I was having this idea to make new music, like, you know, a lot of bands over the pandemic just have released like singles. Like, you know, I'm just going to release like one standalone new single. In July of last year. So I was working on the album, but I had the single, The Time of the Orc Has Come. And, you know, as I was making this album, you know, and it really was like the whole ORCumentary was getting a facelift. So I needed art that reflected that, you know? So it's, you know, I think it's definitely true to how ORCumentary sounds. It's more serious, I suppose. Oh, let me give everybody a closer look. So this is trying to get all the glares out. There's just a lot of glares because there's a plastic covering. So the album is called Fully
really
Orchestrated. So the album's called Fully Orchestrated, and we got. I'm talking to your viewers. I'm assuming that you have, you know, and you know, you got an orc conducting an orchestra. You know, fully orchestrated. I really had to hammer this pun in, like beating you over the head with this pun. Like, this is a funny pun. Laugh. You know, like. But yeah. I'm really glad with how the artwork came out. Like even at shows, like I used to, I have much better stage decorations now. Like I used to have a banner that was not very good. But these ones look a lot more professional. You know, they're in these cases, and you just kind of pull them out and they hang up. Like you've probably seen, like they're, you know, you kind of have them off to the side on either side. But you know, it's all part of, like, you know, as you know, your logo as a YouTube channel, you know, might have changed over time. You know, you have a logo that represents you for a certain amount of time, and then you kind of outgrow that and move on. I'm kind of giving you very long answers to your questions.
That's perfectly fine. Yeah, there will be a time when I will have a new logo. But it's not that I will change this one very much. It will be that I will create a battle vest with different patches, all designed by me.
Yeah,
that will be boss.
That would be boss.
So, yeah, I don't have any questions left. It was very, very nice to talk to you, and I thank you for taking that large chunk of your day for this interview. So if something new comes up, just tell me. We can do another one, maybe a trilogy.
Yeah, an epic trilogy.
The first of many trilogies.
Yeah, I have some plans for later this year for ORCumentary related to Fully Orchestrated. I don't want to talk too much about them yet because they're surprises. And then next year, I'm going to be starting working on, when I was talking about a more polished metal sound. I'm hopefully going to be releasing a new single next year in that style, and then there'll be an album to follow at some point. So the album might not be out until 2023, but I'm just good. There's going to be stuff in the works for a while. Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a good conversation. Nice talking to you and talking about the music and all that. And yep.
So, folks, don't forget to check out his music, ORCumentary, fully orchestrated. And yeah, if you're on my YouTube channel, check out my Buy Me a Coffee, because I'm a poor motherfucker. And
poor motherfucker.
He's right. I'm not an orc, but I would love to. I love coffee, so that is great too. And subscribe, like, comment. Yeah. Christen your kids after me. I don't know.
Yep.
So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoyed this interview, and I will, of course, do a next one.
Yeah. Thanks for taking the time to interview me.
It was a pleasure. Have a nice day.
You too. Keep on crocodile.